You already know. Single for 72 hours.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Those are rules. Standard minimum.
Hot boy weekend.
Hot boy
weekend.
Right on Q Live, we are live. I was just, talking about some important stuff. If you know me, if you follow me on Instagram, RightonQuelive, one word, every 10 days or so, just look at the IG story. You'll be amazed. Ladies, you might pass out. Things might happen to your body that haven't happened to you in a while without nobody even touching you. But, it's different type of feelings when niggas get the haircuts. Like today, I just got from the haircut a couple hours ago. Shout out, we'll get back to that later. So, I have 3 guests here today. Before I get to them, fuck them niggas real quick though. I got some. If you listen this far, again, subscribe and share to RightonQuelive, one word, on any platform you want to take in some type of media, information, content. Also, I made an album not too long ago called We Are Live with a bunch of Philly artists. Thank you, sir. We Are Live. Look at that on any streaming service. And also, we have a sponsor for today's episode. This guy, I ain't gonna say his name yet, but as soon as he came through the door, first he saw a haircut. Oh, this nigga look different. Then he's like, oh, that's a nice shirt. Oh, I see. He look nice today. So after this episode, I'm actually headed to the Mad Love Tour. Shout out to Polivia, 2 great young ladies. They're having a exhibit curation type event to celebrate certain creatives and entrepreneurs and shit like that, people they fuck with, whatever. And that's later on today. But they're also providing a scholarship program for high school seniors looking to pursue secondary education. Yeah, so if you want to hear or find out more about that, go to madlovetour.usa, find out about it. And they're going to be continuing this tour, pun intended, because they're going to have more events around the country. I believe Houston's going to be next, whatever. So shout out to them, good people over there. And they had an episode here a couple Jones ago. I believe the shit was called some shit. I don't fucking know. It was like 2 episodes ago. Very funny though. But today here, introduce yourselves.
You're crazy. That was a lit intro. What's up, y'all? My name is Will Tyrone Toms, one of the co-founders of Rec Philly. Rec Philly, a creative space in Center City, 9th and Market. I'm sure we'll get into that.
Address alert.
Yeah, we'll get into that. But that's who I am.
What's up, everybody? This is Tim Huff, aka Just Huff, creative director at Rec Philly.
I'm sorry. Oh, you had some more? I
was gonna say hi.
Oh, yeah.
What's good, people? My name is Senzwa. I am a co-founder and community director of Elevate. It's a career advancement platform and career community for people of color, specifically for students and professionals. We make sure that you have a robust network, match you with mentors, allow you to mentor younger students as well, and then we also supply employment. So we are your career support for the entire lifetime. So
sounds great.
Glad to be it.
We'll get more into that later. And also for some more context, this is Will's at least 3rd time being here. Yeah, and it's funny, we'll get more into Philly and all that shit. But I remember his first time on it was called Philly Pride. Second episode was called For Y'all By Us. Both of those great episodes. Check them out, whatever. And we said 3 years ago, or 3.5 years ago now, in that first episode of Philly Pride, we was talking about the Philly's window and Philly's time coming, and making the city a hub of creative energy, creative space, getting our just due of our moment for the creative world and just artists in general, whatever. And I think if you look around the city in certain regards, certain people doing certain things, it's looking like it's coming to fruition, whatever. We said that.
I think we here.
Yeah.
I think we here.
So, but again, we'll get on to those good things later. The more important topic at hand to start this whole thing off right. So I love conversations and debate. But I came across this. What I've been debating recently is like my favorite thing I've debated, I think, ever in my life. More than music, more than movies, more than whatever.
You ain't said this beforehand.
Right.
we got to speak off the top.
Lori Harvey.
Oh, them pictures.
Here we go.
The infamous, iconic Black Girl Magic picture.
Yeah.
So, we got to unpack this here.
All right, pull it up too. Just for reference.
All right, y'all pull up on your phone. Pull it. All right, so
No.
the Joan with her and then
Ryan and Jordan. All right, cool. So this is the first way to unpack this, right?
Gotcha.
I always hear people say, "Yo, the '90s this, the '90s that," and I'm been saying this for a while. The '90s ain't got shit on what we got going on in the 2000s, yo. Like Nia was great, Prime Holly was great. What's walking around these streets today? the chicken got a little bit different steroids in today. Like, that's different.
Oh man.
With you on that.
All right, so we're here on my side. Well, how about y'all? Do the women today trump the women of the past?
Whew.
I think is different, but I'm here for what we got today. You know what I'm saying? I think we're at a place where, you know, in the 90s, I'll say, at least from when I'm coming up, I'm looking at, you know, my favorite movies and the women and the way they move in. They just put it together a little different, but I think now the women, the way we dress in, the way they're empowering themselves through expressing their femininity and really just showing up.
This fucking mic, I'm not continue, King. Continue.
Yeah, no, I'm here for it. I'll just leave it at that. I'm very here for where we at today, man.
Any of y'all want to?
No, I agree. First of all, you gotta warn people before you ask questions like this.
This is first time here.
I know, first time. Hold on. My girl might be listening.
Also, I'm sorry, real quick context. Yeah, I forgot to say. Yeah, so that was your third time here. Senzwa's first time here. I've actually known this guy since we first knew each other back in elementary school. It's the first time I seen him in over 15 years, whatever. So small where I knew they knew each other. I thought it'd be a good connection, and like I said, boom. So I thought it was
crazy.
So back to you, but to get yourself in trouble though.
Wait, I know my I will take a second to shout out to my man Q. I'm proud of you, bro.
Thank you.
Definitely proud of you, man. Seeing the growth in the last 15 years, it's like, you know, see how we've arrived, you know. So, yeah. But anyway, all right, back to these women. So, we were young back in the day, right? So it's just like the perspective that we had then and there, it's just like it's a little different now that we're actively in this age cohort now. I do, like Will was saying, I really do like how women nowadays are very, very aware, very self-aware, very conscious about, you know, psychological things, about, you know, travel is a very huge thing. So it actually adds an extra layer of, you know, attractiveness, because it's just like, not only are you fine, but, you know, we can have conversations about, let's talk about your traumas, let's talk about your insecurities, let's talk about, you know, going to Mykonos, like, let's talk about, you know, some real, and not to say you couldn't have those conversations before, but at the same time, the structure didn't allow for us to make that much money back in the day for us to be worried about, you know, growth as opposed to survival.
People definitely move differently because of accessibility and more aware at younger ages.
Right.
Like that.
It's a beautiful time to be alive for us right now.
Facts.
Absolutely.
Yeah, anything to share?
I don't have much. I mean, they pretty much touched on everything. I think that the way that everything's set up now on like Instagram and cameras and phones, that like there's just more opportunity to like display oneself. So like I just feel like it's hard to like compare, because I'm really into fashion, and like I feel like in the 90s the fits were fire and like everyone was focused on living in the moment. So like I don't think there's a lot of selfies, a lot of photos of just like the moments that were missed, and nowadays you can just like throw that up online, so like it's kind of hard to judge. But just in general, like I do fuck with like the spotlight that a lot of like the creative women are getting now, like the DJs and the designers and like the industrial designers.
Facts.
And I just appreciate it all. Like I love the 90s, I love now. I was young in the 90s, so like it's hard for me to judge, but
I think Huff is right. Like thinking about it that way, like I'm sure like when I look at this joint with Jordan Woods and that joint you talk about, it's like these photos were happening, women were probably, you know, just as great looking. Black women always been beautiful, but it's like we didn't get to see those intimate moments when they're with their girls back then, right, in the 90s. But fortunately now it's all out there. You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate all this mature perspective here. It's like, you know,
we gotta protect our brand.
You didn't have the selfies back then and the art. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Bottom line, Lori Harvey looks better than almost every girl before. Like, it's just like Jordan Woods. They just washing them.
Sanaa Lathan was bad back in the day.
You don't get Sanaa Lathan the fuck out of here.
Sanaa Lathan did a long way.
Man, you dropped Jordan Woods in 1995, but Times Square gonna crash. Like, no, all right. Now, how about this? We're gonna peel these layers back. All of them are beautiful women.
Right.
Rank them though. The four in the picture.
You gotta pull up the picture because I don't know their name.
Let's see what y'all got. And I'll start first. My ranking of who the baddest to the least baddest, because nobody's ugly in the picture.
Right.
Of course not.
Lori, Jordan is overall.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Normani, then Ryan, overall.
Oh, man. This is tough, Doug. I mean...
I can't even
regardless.
I can't even partake in this.
Right.
I can't even partake.
I can't even.
I can't.
Yeah, I would take Jordan Woods, though, if I had to just put one.
Okay.
Okay,
number one draft pick?
That'd be the number one draft pick. You know what I'm saying? Coming strong.
I like it. All right. Can y'all at least give me number one draft pick, fellas?
All right, so who is the second one to the right? I remember, because I ranked him in my head before.
Yeah, I believe that's Jordan, right?
No.
With the hat on. The one with the hat on, right?
Oh, that picture, right. I forgot that new one.
But even the old picture.
That's Lori, I believe, yeah.
That's Lori. That's Lori. Dang, that's Lori. I didn't want to agree with you.
Talking about goddamn Sonali. I seen him in basketball.
Damn, she really should know Sonali. That's crazy. All right, Q. Damn.
Oh, that's number one draft pick?
Yeah, man.
All right, cool. Huff, come on.
Ain't nobody finding my girl, though.
Of
Shout out to my girl.
Yo.
Shout out to my girl. Miss How I love you, girl.
Huff.
Oh, man.
I don't know, bruh. I don't even, to be honest, like, I don't even, like, I know who Jordan Woods is. The girl, Normani, wasn't she at, the Red Bull thing? She's an artist, right? She's a musician. I'm not sure, bro. I don't really know. I mean...
You going too deep.
Jordan Woods.
Jordan Woods. First place. Yeah,
she got the red.
I've never seen some of them.
Like, nah, she got ash on her left knee. I don't know if I'm really fucking with it.
Like, well, what's either their credit score is?
Right,
Like,
exactly.
well, how can I really judge here? Like,
Right.
But how about this? So earlier off mic, you was talking about your trip to South Africa and you dealing with some family affairs, whatever.
Absolutely.
In general, let's talk about the separation between African Americans and Africans. Like, so for instance, so this is where I'm coming from with it. So I have a friend, and she's dating an African.
Yeah.
And
you know where in Africa? Like Nigeria? Probably Nigerian.
It's not that. It's Liberia.
Oh, Liberia.
I know Nigeria is like the biggest population here, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Right.
It's in Philly, yeah.
My girl, she's Senegalese and Egyptian.
Okay.
Just for record. But,
Okay. I see you, Q. Okay.
what did I say? Oh, so because of those, and again, I respect her, but she has a strong now respect and admiration, fascination with her lineage and roots and da-da-da. She's fascinated that he knows where he's from. He can go back, shit like that, right? But in doing that, I feel she's developed this unappreciation for Black American, what we have in our culture, and we built for ourselves, whatever. And she really would say stuff like, you know, we have no history, we have no culture, and shit like that. That's a real culture. That's a real this and that. And I'm like, there's like a superiority complex from both sides through history. You know, Black people feel Africans ain't shit, and Africans feel Black people not shit, dumb niggas, shit like that, whatever. Yeah. But at the same time, I feel like now I feel this new thing developing where it's like, not like the overall unappreciation for what Black people built here. Cause they be like, we were stolen. Nothing. All this is null and void. Like, it's not ours. We need to go back to really be like. And me personally, like, I don't really care about finding out where I'm supposedly from. Whatever. It really does nothing for me as of right now. Whatever. Yeah. I'm totally proud and content with knowing that. No, my mom from Virginia. And I was born in California and raised in Germantown. Like, totally fine with that. As long as I know who my mom, my grandma is, I'm kind of good. I think I can figure life out after that, whatever. And I'm proud of that because Black people run the world. Yeah. Black Americans run the world. Our culture runs everything from our fashion to our music to the way we speak. Black Twitter moves everything.
Our culture runs the world.
Yeah.
Right. So our culture
influences
definitely runs the world. So generally, what's your thoughts on all that? Just threw a lot at y'all.
All right, so you kind of threw a lot at me right there. So kind of white supremacist thought is pervasive everywhere, right? So in Africa, and I remember in Africa when I was in South Africa, they were like, "Oh, I can't wait to go to the States. I can't wait to go to the States." And I'm like, "Oh, y'all really think it's sweet over here? Like, they think every Black person over here is rich. They think everybody, you know, is like Steve Harvey, etc. Blah, blah, blah." I was like, "Please, like, let me get this amount of money, right?" So that's one thing. But two, also the messages that come from white supremacist thought denigrates black people, and everybody hears those messages, and everybody internalizes those messages. Even black people hear themselves, right? So if you're from somewhere else, say, because I'm African Caribbean, but I was raised as a black American, right? So if you're raised somewhere else and you have the same phenotype as the people who are being denigrated where you're about to go, you're going to do everything in your power to try to disassociate yourself from them, right? Especially if you have your own culture that is a little different. And I mean, what people realize and what people, this movement is started is very much a reclamation of black and African culture, right? Bridging that divide. It's hard because, yes, black Americans were very much had to create their own history, and I agree with you. I think there should be a huge appreciation of that because we're all creators here, right? You know how much time and effort and energy and et cetera is to create something. Imagine creating a lineage. Imagine creating a history. Imagine creating, something to give to your progeny, and that should be highly valued. But again, because the cultural zeitgeist is, that black people have been denigrated for so long, people want to disassociate themselves
from the narrative.
Yeah. Absolutely. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think when I heard you kind of break that down when you asked the question, I mean, the one thing that I think is important to kind of challenge your language on is like you were like, yo, black people in America don't have culture. I think that's like the super false statement in that whole thing, right? Because of course we have culture, right? We've created our own languages, we've created our own styles, we've created our own music that now, hip hop is the biggest thing moving business in the world, right? So it's like to say that we don't have culture, I think is just super silly. But on the flip side, the thing that I think is really valuable about when people want to figure out where they're from and when people realize, oh, I'm from Ghana or this place or that place, I think there's something incredibly powerful about understanding the history of your people. And I think that, like, some people find solace in God or some people find solace in, horoscopes. But I think when you can think about, okay, well, my lineage, what was my great-great-great-great-grandfather doing, right? I do think there's something that gets passed down in our beings, right? That set us up for certain things. Like I know a lot of people in the spiritual journey where they start talking about, yo, well, my ancestors wanted this for me, right? And my ancestors guided me this and that. Like, I think when you think about the fact that we're here is because someone could survive long enough to be able to procreate, to put us in a position to get a little further and a little further, and they worked hard and harder and harder. Like, there's power in that. And like, I think for some people, they like, and it's valuable to be able to call back to that power, just to remember, like, yo, I'm not just this solo being out here wandering aimlessly. Like, my people have
created by a person,
right? And now, therefore, I get to take the torch that I was given and then push it forward, right? And I think there's a lot of power in that. So I don't ever, for me personally, even though I personally, unfortunately, don't know where my people come from in Africa, but I'm on that space and time where I want to go figure it out, and I want to go to Africa, and I want to learn. I hear Ghana out here letting motherfuckers come and get.
That's lit. And I definitely want to go too, by the way. I want to travel the entire continent.
Right.
So for me, like, I'm on that, but at the same time, I don't know if I'm trying to give the government my DNA by doing the swab and what I mean, all that stuff.
And before you go, real quick, Huff, anybody watch Watchmen?
Nah, but I've seen it. It keeps popping up and it looks fire.
It's a great show. Watch it regardless. But there's a they show like a very cool like technology where you can just go to like a damn, like just an Apple store. That's how I look, whatever. Not nothing like a top secret museum, whatever. But you go to like this Apple store essentially, and you tap on the computer. I'm cute, how da da da. They're like, okay, here's your entire family tree. To give you this acorn thing, put it there, and it's an actual visual of this virtual family tree. They go, oh, this person did it. We could track this person. They did this in society. Da da da. And I was like, to actually see it, that would just be dope.
Yeah. Before you go, real quick, that just like hit me with this thought, and this is something I've been thinking about for the last couple months that I think is really interesting. I think it's important for us to realize the time that we're living in and how crazy pivotal it's going to be for this one idea. When we think about our history, the only thing I got is when my grandmother brings out the old photo book, right? And she's like, yo, here's your great-grandfather, right? And like, they're telling me stories about who this person was, who this man was, what he cared about, right? His little personality quirks. but all I hear is the stories. I don't really have the accurate, like, let me see it. The fact that now we're living in a world where social media is here and literally I can go like this and film it all, my great grandchildren will literally be able to play a video and know what my essence was. They know what I cared about. Not from stories that get changed, but literally I'm looking at the man, right? And I think right now, because our culture is, you know, at least for me, I grew up in Germantown, right? And I know what it's like to not have my pop and this and that. That idea of mentorship, and that's why I love what you do so much, right? That idea of mentorship will change the way a young person thinks about themselves. So if we get to a space now where you can look and be like, yo, but here's what my people was doing, what they cared about, it just helps you center yourself so much better. And I think we're in this space and time right now where we get to do that. And I think because of that, we should start recording as much as we can, especially for our parents.
Yeah, I ain't from Germantown though, real quick.
Yeah, you mind if I piggyback off of that?
So real quick.
When
my bad. I'm agreeing with what you're saying.
So when I went to South Africa, and I said this offline before we were on air, I saw my grandmother's gravestone, and like I said, I'd never seen my last name associated with anything outside of myself, right? So when I saw it literally etched in the black stone in the ground, changed my life. How did it change my life? It's very hard to explain, but I walk with a different step because I know that what Will said before, I'm not in a vacuum. I'm not out here floating. There's literally earth in which that I've come from. And I also went to South Africa and saw everybody was bald-headed like me. And I was like, oh, I'm supposed to be here, right? Right? But at the same time, we also got to look forward, right? So you look back to inform yourself, to create to create the best version of yourself in order for you to continue contributing, right? So and like Will said, we're in a very pivotal time, and not only do we have access to all this technology that allows us to create these narratives and really show our narratives and show our essence, but also we got work to do, right? And when you really go back and really connect on a very genuine and authentic level with people who you're supposed to come from, that allows you to continue the conversation forward. Okay, so now what are we gonna do, right? Akon just built a freaking city, right? He took $60 million and made homes for, not homes, set up infrastructure for millions of people, right? That took a black man to go and do that, right? Yes, he's African as well, but what I'm saying is that this connection, this genuine connection that we're actually breeding, allows us to create rapport with our past so we can create something for our future. And I have a friend right now who's creating a nonprofit that connects people who want to support entrepreneurs and investors in Africa and the Caribbean and match them with them, right? Because now we have the clout, now we have the capital, now we have the global wherewithal to be like, okay, let's actually go into certain parts of South Africa, certain parts of Senegal, certain parts of Guinea, and see what people are doing. See how I can send some money over there. See how I can get with the talent that's going over there. So this narrative, this cultural reclamation really allows us to really engage in a very meaningful and authentic way that is really going to help us bridge that transatlantic gap that we've had for so long.
Right, and I think just my opinion on it is it's a combination of what both of them have said, where you have to understand where you've been to know where you're going, and then at the same time, also with social media and being able to, and just technology, we're able to take our essence and know that it will be documented in the future. And then something else that I always say to my friends that when we have these debates is we have to understand that one, Black American culture is a thing that is, like Will said, that's changing the world, but America right now, in my mind, we're the teenagers of the world. We're really and I didn't I've never been to Africa, but I've been to Italy and Barcelona, and when you go to places like that, you realize how much history they have, and how what is the word
just rooted,
not rooted, but how monumental some of their things are, and how big of culture plays, and how big architecture plays, and right now our era and our generation, we're very young in America's timeline. So like it's really about like being able to like use our culture that we're creating, first understanding where you come from and moving in for the future, but being able to put that on our backs because we know that our like in 200-300 years, like that's longer than America has been quote unquote America. Like it's only been America for what 240 something or whatever years. Like, so I just think it's like really, I think culture is really important, and like we just have to know that when it goes hundreds of years down the line, how we talk about hundreds of years ago, like that's going to be like this moment soon.
And I think, you know, just another thought is, you know, as a leader, I've learned that self-awareness is the most powerful tool ever, right? If you really get to know yourself, and I think it's hard to do that without the context of where you come from, right? So like, for example, right before we opened our new space, you know, it was important for me to go visit my pop, you know, and I wanted to do that for a number of reasons. I wanted to just patch in with him, see how he's doing, but also like, there's just a power I get from talking to him because I'm looking in a mirror. I'm like, damn, this guy looks like me. Right. This guy got the same mannerisms. And again, coming from a space where I wasn't, you know, I didn't have the opportunity to be raised by my pop, right? You know, him being incarcerated and all. But there's just this like rootedness you get when you realize these habits I have are not random, right? These come from genetics, right? And I think if the more and more we understand what genetically we are predisposed to be, and we can dig into that, I think the more powerful we can be.
Ooh. Yeah, and lastly, what I'll say is like to Will's point,
because he was
I give it to you, but like about like documenting the time. Like, you know, with this podcast, I love bringing on creatives and people doing certain things, pursuing certain things, creating certain things. But I also love to just bring on people that I have love for and I personally know. Like, you know, starting with my mom. My mom been on here 3 times. Everybody knows how close I am to my mom and shit like that. But also, there's a part of me that I was like, I need to bring my grandmom on. So, you know, not so long before, actually for the 200th episode, I brought my grandmom on. We had a certain conversation about like her life and her past and her perspective on certain things, whatever. And part of me, I wanted to do it besides just like, I just have to bring everybody I got love for on my show. This is what I do, whatever. It's like just a part of like my history and expression of my mind has to be translated fully, whatever. But then I was thinking like, yo, like, you know, God forbid that my grandmom died before I had kids. I was like, what is a better way for them to be like, no matter what, this is a way to see what your grandma was like. I know part of my dad, my dad's mom died when I was like 2 or something, whatever. I know it bothered my dad or bothers that I never really had a chance to build a relationship or have a real image of her or whatever. So I was thinking like, yeah, like, no matter what, whatever happened with my kid and my grandma, you can look at this video right here, this audio conversation. This was my grandma. This is how she was, whatever. My mom, she's been here 3 times. Videos of her everywhere, whatever. This was my mom, shit like that, whatever. So I definitely agree with all that.
It's amazing, man. It's so powerful, and even just seeing them grow, right, over years. Like, I forgot how long it was since I did the first jump, right? So after this, you better believe I'm going to go back to the first jump 3.5 years ago and be like, right? I think that's also dope.
Yeah.
And gems and content lives forever. Like, same shit from the Philly Pride episode to the 4 of Y'all by Us and this one in 3.5 years.
Those are all going to be classics.
Yeah,
in the grand scheme of things.
Right.
Certain shit doesn't expire.
You really got to document your progress, man. It's just like we live for the day where we say we made it, but you got to, the narrative is how you got there. Because that's going to be the most inspiring part.
That's true.
You know, and in mentorship, I was talking about this earlier, my story.
And also, that was going to be next time, tie that into exactly what is that the project and company you're a part of and all that shit.
Absolutely. In my story, I was talking about mentorship, and I said a mentor is someone who's navigated the uncertainty that you will soon face, right? And they've navigated it well, and they've navigated successfully. So I created a situation in which, imagine you were your own mentor from 10 years ago, right? You're your mentor from 10 years ago. How would you take yourself under your wing and be like, "Little man, I gotta talk to you real quick," right? And a lot of that is really documenting the progress. A lot of it is really saying like, listen, like, I made these mistakes. I've done this. This is where you should probably look. These are the next trends that are coming up, et cetera, blah, blah, blah. Don't think that what you're going through is new. And there's certain cases in which things are very time specific, but there are a lot of human universals, and they happen in different stages in life. And that's why mentorship is so important, because they can highlight and validate those universals, right? And kind of going back to what we were saying before, what you were saying, we were talking about your pops. I had to go through the exact same thing with my pops when I went to South Africa. And it's crazy how genetics works because me and him have a lot of the same mannerisms. Like I bust jokes all the time. That's all I do. Like people think I'm very serious on my gram, which I am. But like if you know me, I'm a clown. Just because life is crazy, you're supposed to laugh at it. So, and he's a clown too. And I'm like, yo, you are an arms dealer. How do you laugh this much? Like, but you got to. I guess you got to when you're an arms dealer. This stuff is really wild, right? So, but the reason why these conversations are so necessary is because you need to see your existence validated outside of your own body. And I think that's what mentorship does. I think that's what these conversations with your pops that we've all had to have, because when it's in your head so much, there's a lot of stuff that you can do to build up your internal validation, but externally just to be able to see that and be like, okay, this exists in reality outside of my own thought. Cool, I can keep it moving now because I know I'm not crazy, right? And I think that's kind of the central theme of a lot of this mentorship, a lot of this reclamation, a lot of this self-awareness that we need to have being leaders, being creators, being change agents. So these conversations are highly, highly important. Documenting is highly important because we're gonna die.
Is that? Yeah, pen. I'll keep it.
Nah. And somebody is gonna come out after us, and they're gonna need to know how we struggled. So.
Good. So I like. So and thank you, sir. And into what you were, what do you do now in your mentorship in a company?
So like I said, I'm co-founder of Elevate. We launched in April of 2019. I've been working on it since August of 2018. We recently relaunched in January with an updated new platform. And Elevate is really a way to support people's career growth throughout their entire career trajectory, right? So from you being a student, you graduate high school, you go to undergrad, and my biggest thing is I went to undergrad, I had no idea what I was doing in undergrad. I knew I liked psychology, that was my thing, and a lot of people go into psychology because they do me search, right? What's wrong with me? Let me figure this out, right? So I knew I liked psychology. Eventually I realized I didn't want to become a psychologist for many reasons. Even though I love, psychologists or whatever, but navigating that is difficult, especially as a person of color. Navigating is very difficult because you also got to stress about how you going to afford school, how you going to feed yourself, problem stuff that's going on at home. All your homies didn't go to school with you, right? So now they're looking at you like, you brand new. And then also, what are my next steps, right? Who do I connect with in order to get to the next place? Will this person hire me no matter what school you went to, et cetera, right? So there's a lot of questions, a lot of culturally specific questions that I had that I didn't necessarily have somebody to ask. Luckily, I joined a really dope organization called Association of Black Psychologists, and I got with people who were willing to help me, right? And I really wanted to take that, and I'm like, all right, so how do I give that to everyone, right? So then graduated, went to South Africa, came back, et cetera. And that was always my mission. My mission is always about community. I love, community is so healing, man. Like, individualistic culture is weird. It's not a real thing. It's not a real thing. You know what I'm saying? It's something that we created and something that we...
Very fake, man.
Yes. Like, capitalism and mixed with individualism is the worst thing. That's why people commit suicide so much.
Unhealthy.
So, I really wanted to cultivate the power of community. And then I got with my guy who's my mentor right now, Mr. Suleiman Rahman, who I really saw do this very well within the city and cultivate really the largest, most robust community of Black and brown professionals in the city, doing so many different things. And then my eyes opened, I was like, yo, Black people can be geologists? Like, Black people can, be in VR and AR? Like I grew up in Uptown, I was just like, these were my options, you know what I'm saying? So, the fact that I can now craft and curate my own options, and I can see other people doing those things, I was like, yo, this is dope, I need everybody to see this, right? I left UPPN and Diverse Force to go and link up with my co-founders, and we started Elevate. And it's really, like I said, it's really a way for, one, increasing visibility, right? Of even just the range of professions that people have that look like you. Two, to really get your questions answered, right? We all are navigating this career trajectory right now. It's just like, you don't want to do it alone. You really want to have somebody's back, or have someone to have your back, because it's cold and lonely out there. 3, to really find a mentor, and it's really dope. We have an algorithm based on your job function in your industry that actually matches you with a mentor, all on the platform. Of course, you can choose one yourself, but it helps you, and I do everything on the platform to facilitate that introduction, because I know people are introverts, etc., blah, blah, blah. So if they don't want to go out there, like, nah, I got you. I'll introduce you to this person. Like, that's pretty much all I do. And the fact that I get paid for it is kind of crazy. But that's what I love, because honestly, like, just collective career advancement, man, is just crazy. And then the last part is we're diversifying these companies, right? So these companies say they want to hire black and brown folks, but they say, oh, we don't know where to find them. We don't know if they're qualified. We don't know, etc. Blah,
It's so
blah, blah.
crazy that that's a real thing.
Right? Like, it's crazy, right? And it's just like, you're here. We're in Philadelphia.
Right.
Blackest city.
Yeah. What is it, 41%
Yeah.
African American?
Right. City is black as hell. So, like, what are you talking about? You can't go outside. Right? Hella black people you got hire right now, right? So, all right, let me make your job easy. Let me create an aggregate audience of people who are actually helping each other upskill each other based on what they do, and let me help funnel them into your company. Now I'm gonna look at your company and say, how are you treating black people in your company, right? How are you treating brown people in your company? Because I'm not gonna give you these qualified black and brown people for them to be tokens. They need to be included. They need to be listened to and heard, and they need to be given the same amount of power as everybody else and pay them, right? But if we can do that with a company, then boom, right? Then we can create a pipeline of people getting employment, of opportunities, and career support. And that's really the mission of Elevate, to really, make sure that you're held down, because they'll really make sure that, or they'll create a reason why you weren't qualified. They'll always create a reason for that, right?
Okay.
Oh, we had other applicants. We nah. So yeah.
Rec Philly. So like I said, y'all been here a few times, or at least Will has. So we don't need the whole backstory history. So just the current state of affairs, new building, new moves, new celebrations.
All right. You don't want the whole backstory. Where we at with it? I mean, I will say we've always existed to really just, fulfill this mission of empowering creative people to do more of what we love, right? That's really what it's always been about. And, the culture shift we're looking to drive is this idea of, you can see yourself as an artist, but next, if you really want to do that for real, it's about this shift to creative entrepreneur, right? So it's always been about how do we make sure we're, helping people understand how to build these businesses around our art. The culture that we've been talking about is so powerful in the world, but it's about us being able to own that, right? So where we've grown to be now, it's really, at this space, we like to think of ourselves as a gym membership for creatives. Right, and I think that sums it up so well, because there's always been these misconceptions of what we are.
There's a bunch of things you can do at a gym.
Right, you go to the gym for a number of reasons. The first one is, okay, I have some fitness goal I want to get, accomplished, and I go there because they got all the tools there for me in the gym. Right, I get on the equipment, I do the thing. Second, you go to the gym because if you don't know how to actually do the things to get your goals accomplished, there's probably some people there who know a little bit more about, the right workouts, right, the right diets. There's the strategies are there. The third thing about the gym is the thing we don't really talk as much about, is there's this social accountability when you go to the gym, right? You go there, and maybe you want to go on a light workout day, but then you see Bull putting up 350, and you're like, you know what, I could do a couple more reps.
Right. Or even you'd be like, even someone that tells himself, I can just do this at home. If you would actually went to the gym, you're going to just naturally do more.
Absolutely.
For sure.
And that comes down to that community piece, right? So for us, that's what, our space that we call the Rec Room is all about. So essentially, we run a membership program, that ranges, from $50 a month to $150, a month. And within that, it's really about getting access to the space. We just built a 10,000 square foot space in the center of Philadelphia at 9th and Market, the gallery, where a lot
still call the gallery.
Facts. We don't call it that.
They still have gallery signs, like
they do?
coming at Jefferson. Still says
that's
gallery.
crazy.
Yeah, so it's like, that was a space that, a lot of us were going just because we wanted a place to be, right? To spend our time, whether we had the money to shop there or not, that was the spot. So I think it's just really special to really understand that, like, we just put a huge space for us and us alone, right there. You know what I'm saying? It's accessible everywhere. We're not under the L somewhere. Like, no, we're front and center. And I just think that's really powerful. But anyway, the space is, 14 private studios, right? From recording studios to dance studios, podcast studios to design studios, collaboration rooms. We have a co-working space where members can pull up anytime to get work done and connect. We have the only independently owned Live Nation venue in the city, right? 350-person event space to be able to do concerts, educational programming, networking. It's all there, right? It was literally created and designed with the creative person in mind to connect them to the resources, connect them to other people that are investing in themselves, that are serious about pushing their craft forward, and about, in pursuit of making money through a passion. So that's kind of where it is right now. And, we're at this space in time where it's like, we've been on this journey for a long time.
Yeah.
Right.
5, 6, 7.
But now it's just cool to see, one, probably some of the things I was talking about in the previous interviews have come to fruition, right? And I think there's a lot to be said about that. But I would hope, if nothing else, we're at a time where, like, I really believe if you haven't been in our space, you can't really grasp it, right? Because the model is so new, it's innovative, people haven't seen it done. But once you step foot in it, my goal, and when...
The fact that you just said 14 studios really just put even more in, like, perspective.
Yeah, bro.
Once you're there, you can, like, conceptualize it, like,
it's real.
See it.
And you're looking at the two guys who literally designed the space, right? Like, this needs to go here, this needs to go there, right? And the one thing I want people to understand is that when you come in the space and you leave, you're gonna realize when you walk out that all these dreams that you might have had that you kind of believed in, but you really didn't have it in your core to believe in, I would hope you leave knowing they're possible, right? Because again, I'm a kid from Germantown, right? Like, where I come from is the same thing a lot of us as inner city kids come from, right? Didn't have my pops, right? My pop's doing a 30 to 60 right now. Mom battling drugs, right? This and that. None of that matters when you really get yourself into an environment that was designed for your success. And unfortunately, we haven't, as creative people, been able to be in environments like that, right? So for now, I just want people to understand, it's like, I just want to show it's possible. And then someone's really willing to just invest that time, that energy, that money, those resources to pay that forward and set us all up to say, everything I'm trying to do now is even more possible.
Did you want to add something?
Nah. We'll touch on all of it. Like, and you too. It's like, I think the most important thing that, like, all of us are doing is, like, building that community. Yeah. And, like, that's what's really important. Because, like, in our case, like, me specifically, like, I'm not from Philly. Like, I'm from Jersey. But we would always come over here back and forth. But, like, that whole thing where it's like, whether you're creative or, like, you have a passion for, like, helping people, like, you grow up with friends, you realize that, like some of your friends do it, but, like, you're that one in the friend group that wants to do this thing, and the only way you really get to do that thing is if you just, like, buckle down and do it yourself. But, like, once you find that community of other people who are also on that, like, track or path, or, like, take themselves seriously, like, you're able to change the game, you're able to, like, take it to the next level, or even just, like, you're already taking us to the next level when you just trying with those people, because you're doing better than what you would have done with your homies if, like, they weren't on the same path. And that's just, like, what's important to us and to me. And just, like, me specifically is, like, my role in everything is, like, pushing the brand forward. So, like, that's why I take a lot of it, like, personally, to try to communicate the right messages through all different however, it could be digital, it could be events, it could be whatever, but, like, at the end of the day, like, we're trying to get creatives together, and also people who want to help creatives. Not everyone. Some people are managers, some people are creative directors, some people are designers for the artist or for the creative or whatever, but, like, we're all on the same path.
Or even the businesses that may not be looked at as creative businesses, but do want to invest in the creativity that's happening, right? And I think that's what we do well. I think that's what we do, honestly, the best, right? Is if you came to our launch party, it's like how many other spaces you could be in where there's rappers, there's band members, there's, designers, but then there's also the CMO of, a Fortune 500 company, right? So it's like when you think about access and what it looks like for some people who have never been in a room with these sort of people, but then they get there and the energy is right. Everybody's there respecting everybody else's perspective and everyone's understanding the value of each other. That's what it's about for us, right? And I think that's kind of been our sauce, but I think now it's really clear. And yeah, I'm really excited about it.
Okay. And how about this?
Nah, I took a hot take right.
Yeah, that was tight.
That's cool. Whatever.
So back to Lori, right? No, definitely. So like you was, I kind of cut you off unintentionally, but you were about to say misconception, shit like that, right? So the misconceptions and criticisms of it.
Yeah,
so conversations change lives.
Yes, let's talk about it.
Yeah, so
Go ahead.
the faithful words that
Yo,
just
that
sent
shit
the
had me
whole
dead.
timeline into a disarray or whatever. So you
Yeah.
can chime in on it once we get the
I
ball
missed it.
rolling or whatever. Yeah, so conversations change lives.
Cue it up first.
Right. So I forgot how it started on timeline. I know Jizz was a part of the conversation, another guy I'm not familiar with, but they were basically, someone started saying, you know, who has had a conversation? I'm not sure. He said
that's
it's
not how it started.
Ryan. Oh,
Yeah,
I'm sorry. You were a part of it.
Yeah, I'll give you the context. That came later.
I thought so. Yeah.
So essentially, here's what happened, and I don't even know if he knows this part.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just start it there. My context was I tweeted something, and I
Right.
was like, "Yo, in 2020, we valuing people's time. We paying them for these consultations,
Okay.
right? Because it's a big thing, and especially in the entrepreneur community. If you're doing something, everyone's like, "Can I pick your brain?" Right? Basically, yo, come on, give me the game, and it's
Free consultation.
Right.
We ain't got time for it.
right? And
Right.
it's you want me to spend my time investing in you to then give you some valuable information to move you forward, right? So basically, I tweet, I say, yo, in 2020, we paying people for their time. The next morning, I'll wake up and I see a tweet, and I don't know if he saw my tweet or not, but it triggered me because I'm like, oh, here we go. But his tweet says something like, people out here wanting people to pay him to have conversations. I'll never be that person. I can't get with that. That don't make sense. So then I love my people, bro. I'm all about
And real quick, I just want to say before you continue, one thing I always like and respect about Will is he's always down for the conversation.
Always.
No matter
Always.
what. So I'll give you credit. And
Thank you.
know,
Thank you. Because for real, bro, like, I don't have time to be doing yada, 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 but I care, right? So when I see someone say that, I'm just like...
And you're willing to always defend your stance.
Straight up. And so I care. So I see him say that, and I'm just like, damn, I wish he thought about that differently, because honestly, there's some conversations he could have with people that would really change his trajectory. So basically, I saw the tweet, and then I replied, and I was like, well, I think about this differently, right? And I was like, I forget exactly how I said it, but basically I was like, I think it's important to do that because conversations can change someone's life. Because at the end of the day, we're talking about business, which is really just relationships, and everything we want in life
Relationships and information.
right? It's most likely on the other side of another person, right? So it's like, if you want to go and achieve something, why wouldn't you want to go find someone who's already achieved that thing and then go talk to them and understand how they're thinking about it, right? So basically, we went back and forth. He didn't grasp my perspective, right? And then also, I learned in the Twitter sphere, sometimes being right is more important than, or appearing right is more important than actually, like, learning and, like, advancing. But yeah, so we went back and forth about it, and then after it was all done, I'm like, whatever, I don't think he's going to get it. I don't think he wanted to get it. But I really stood by that point because I know what it feels like to feel like you're just navigating by yourself, yada, yada, yada. The thing that changed my life was getting a mentor. I didn't have a mentor or even understand the power of a mentor until I was 25, right? But just having a conversation with someone who's seen it and done it and who steer you is so crazily powerful. So yeah, that kind of is where that started, and then later down the line.
Right. Who had a conversation, Direct Philly changed your life, whatever.
Yeah.
And there were people that had their own testimonies, that Direct Philly helped me, da-da-da. And again, I have certain perceptions of Rec that we'll get into, whatever. But overall, I can never disrespect you or disrespect Rec Philly because of things you aided with me, helped me with, and assist me with, and like been a part of my journey from the beginning or whatever. You know, the people that came on the show and said, yo, Will told me this thing was cool, and I always got to show you respect and appreciation for that, whatever.
And for the record, Q's never been a member, but that's okay.
Right.
Right? So imagine what we do for our members.
Right.
Just saying.
Right.
And
Right.
had my first live event.
I'm gonna say that the value that you guys both share with each other is still, even outside of formal membership, right?
Right.
It's like it's still there. It's like, even if you're not paying people, exposure. Everybody needs exposure, right?
And out. So, but at the same time, so this particular topic in itself, I'm generally on the fence about it because of course I understand that certain a conversation can change your life with someone. That is a fact. Like, someone can use some bit of information that can completely shift your perspective, perception, trajectory. All that shit can happen with a conversation or multiple conversations. And with that person, there was information that you got from that person that can shift some things for you. That is a fact, whatever. Now a person feels like, should I be doing that? Can you the person can I find someone that also has information that can tell me some shit that wouldn't charge me? That is also possible. So I can understand the other side of the argument saying like, but that seems inorganic or unnatural or this and that or whatever.
But
so.
just that perspective is so crazy to me, right? Because it's like, okay, can I go find someone who will maybe take me under their wing and do it for free? Possibly. There's a lot of people out here, people want to help, right? But at the same time, it's like, if I know who's been on the journey that yada 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 that I want to do, and they're saying, yo, I'm gonna charge you $200, for this 2-hour session, this hour and a half, which I think is incredibly affordable.
Yeah.
Why would you not just go do it, right? I think it's on you to understand, if I pay this $200 and invest in myself in this way.
For how long?
For an hour and a half. Let's say
hour
90 minutes,
hour and
right?
Okay.
90 minutes,
Yeah.
right? Give somebody $250 for 90 minutes, which is crazy because if you really out here working, you know what you could do with 90 minutes of your time, right? So it's like to give that to someone else and then to give them game. It's like, if you know it's there, do you have the confidence to know that if you get the right information, you're going to make it valuable?
Right.
Give me something you think, in general, can be shared with a person. Let's just say a musician in 90 minutes that you feel will be like, this can shift something from your perspective.
Straight up, I know, and I'll just make it super plain. I know that there's a lot of artists out here who are extremely talented, but their level of understanding of marketing and how it works is so off base that if I sit with you for 90 minutes and I just talk digital strategy with you, it will change your whole outlook on what you're doing and what you're not doing right. Right? How many people always thought, oh, I'm hot, I just need somebody to put me on. Bro, come on, it's 2020, right? But I know that if I give you a certain understanding and a framework, it's going to change it. And then even further than that, what people don't understand is, yeah, that $250 gets you that person's time and you talk. But if you're a real person, what that also is the beginning of a relationship. And relationships are everything. But if you, in your mind, right, and you're honestly, let's just call it what it is, when you're operating out of scarcity, you're not thinking that way, right? So it's, oh, this $250, this is how I'm eating. This, I've been there. I get it. But when you shift that and you start to understand,
it's
like
an investment possibly.
It's a huge investment, possibly, especially if you know the caliber of the person that you're going to pay that money to.
And real quick before I let you go, because again, from the other side of me understanding, this is where I look at it, right? Again, you highlighted that I'm not a member or whatever, but we have a relationship. So I look at it as like, I feel if I ask you a question right now, you would answer the question, and that's because of a rapport and a relationship we built over some time now. So I can see a person saying like, so in theory, I can ask, of course, you don't got to sit up for 90 minutes, and I'm not going to pick your brain, shit like that, whatever. But there's a relationship, therefore a conversation can possibly happen, exchange information, whatever. So at the same time, and that is a relationship that was built over time, that I've invested energy in and respect in. So it's like, it can happen that way as well, building relationships like that.
But if there's no relationship, right? I don't know you from a can of paint, you know what I'm saying? I sound like my grandmother, some real old school. If I don't know you at all, I got a lot of things to do, right? We got 17 employees, I got a space, yada yada. So why do I know that I should invest that time, right? It's a value exchange.
And
value exchange.
And I'll just start there. A lot of folks don't understand value exchange, right? And one of the things I tweeted was like, yo, if you don't value your own time, there's no way you can value someone else's, right? So there's that whole thing.
That's a bar.
But it's value exchange. So it's like, if you're telling me I need you to help me further my career, right? Right now I'm going to give you the value. If in that moment I don't understand what the value exchange is, money is the great equalizer, right? That's how it go. But then once you start to build rapport with people, you understand there's value beyond, yada, yada, yada. And then it's like, yo, man, I just want to help you because I respect you. I respect your platform. I know down the road Q going to be lit. I'm going to have to hit him up when he big as the Breakfast Club. Hey, Q, come on, bro. I know you can charge a lot of people to be on your podcast, but come on, I'm a slot. That's what it's about. But until we get to that point, show someone the respect to say, yo, I respect your time enough that, like, I want to take care of you right now because I know you could be doing a lot of other things with your time, but you're going to give your value to me.
Absolutely. And you got to look. So I think I completely agree with everything that you're saying. I think the money is almost like a sticker shock for people, right? So you got to look about what the money actually represents, and you hit it right on the nail on the head. It's the appreciation of value. If I don't know you, if I don't have a rapport, and you're doing something for me, I have to show some sort of appreciation. It's hard to do that when you don't know someone because you don't know what they value, but you know that everyone values money in some one way or not, right? But let me give you an alternative. So when I met my mentor, first thing I did was first thing I always do when I meet somebody as far as networking, I give whatever.
Gotta do.
Give.
Yes,
That's the
sir.
first thing you have to do
Smart.
is give, because one, you have to approach relationships like problem solving opportunities, right? People will always tell you what their problems are. People love talking about their problems. So you got to get out of your own head and listen genuinely to what people actually say. And then go into your mental bank and think about how can you solve this problem for this person, or how can you put somebody on. So for me,
How can you add value?
exactly. So for me, it's mostly my relationships. I know somebody who can help you in this and that and that. Sometimes it's me. Let's set up a call and maybe I can do a strategy session with you or something, et cetera, et cetera. So that's how you build that rapport. That's how you build that relationship. That's how you add that value, right? If you're going to somebody and say, listen, I need this type of help, you need to be able to at least show them that you appreciate the value because they could be doing something else. So that's where he was saying pay them, right? Mm-hmm. Pay them is a legitimate strategy. But for me, what I did with my mentor, I was like, you're building a business. Let me intern for you. You don't gotta pay me.
Blood and sweat, that's value.
Right. Blood is right. That blood, sweat, energy, time. Let me intern for you. Right? I eventually was, getting paid, etc. Blah, blah, blah. But initially it was just like, I see what you're doing. I'm riding with this mission. I know you need help in these areas. And I also highlighted areas in which he could improve too. So don't just come passively and just being like, oh yeah, I'll do whatever you say.
I'll get your coffee.
Let's talk about how you can expand this type of strategy, how you can expand this, etc. Let's go back and forth. Once you start adding some sort of value, right? Appreciating, okay, you're helping me with my life, let me help you with your life. And it could be a one-off $250, or it could be I come into your office once a week and help you do some stuff, etc. Blah blah blah. So I think where people get hung up is because they're operating out of scarcity. Is this 200? I don't really need that. But what about on Saturdays in which you're not doing nothing, you watching TV, and this person is building a business, or this person needs help with that? Why don't you go in there and see if, how you can help in some certain way? But it's the appreciation of value that's the fundamental thing that you really need to highlight.
And like I wholeheartedly agree, but it's like we do this in other spaces of our lives where maybe it's a little bit more normal, right? Like if I sit down with a mentor and we just rapping. If I invite him there because I know I got questions I want to ask, I'm buying the coffee, right? I'm buying lunch, right? And it just makes sense. Or let's make it even more plain. You go to a club and you see a woman that you'd like to entertain a conversation with, you buy them a drink. Right? At least some guys did, right? Yeah. You buy them a why? Because you want to just, I'll give you this, we'll get time, and then I can build from there, right? So I just think we got to really get back to, as a people, understanding value and value exchange, and then going to build relationships from there.
Mm-hmm. So, as I said earlier, I did an album. When I did the album, it stood out to me that, including Rec Philly, a bunch of people that were in the city didn't acknowledge it in certain regards. And I felt that me being a platform, a Philly platform, bringing a bunch of creators, artists, shit like that on, and then all that culminated into a collective of, and a compilation essentially of Philly artists. I felt that, even though I felt it was a good project, outside of the moment itself, kind of like, for lack of better terminology, deserved acknowledgement of it or whatever. So I find it, when people have certain, again, I feel Rec Philly does their own thing, but when people have certain critiques, stuff like that come to mind. I feel like, ways to improve. And I'm even saying ways to improve. I feel like that's why I just wonder why not certain things don't happen. And again, it's not just you, it's other people as well, whatever. So I ask you, why do you feel something like that? And I feel it's probably happened with other people as well, whatever. Yeah. Do you guys feel like you choose to not support or promote or push certain things and other things you do as well? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
No. Here, I'll say this first. Mm-hmm. I believe, I really love what you did, right? I thought it was innovative. You as a creative entrepreneur to say, hey, I'm a podcaster, I'm gonna create an album. Like, I just think that's phenomenal, right? And
you told me that person.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And it's not like we didn't have exchanges. I really appreciated that. But I do think it was a missed opportunity for us not to shine more light on the project, right? But then there's also a lot of other factors that go into it, right? I don't curate our social media, right? That's this guy. He has the freedom to do that and things like that. And the other thing is, in hindsight, I wish that maybe we could have had a conversation about it, right? Where there was like a direct ask, where you say, yo, Will, I got this album coming out. Before it comes out, I think it would be really interesting if we did this. Because I'm all about strategy too, right? Because if we're going to do it, I don't like to just randomly throw posts up, because that's not the platform we have. We are not this blog that just throws posts up. But what we can do is say, hey, we're gonna really support this, and it's gonna look like this touch point and that touch point. Then we're gonna have the live event here. That's how I like to move.
That's fair.
So that's kind of what I would have thought. But I'm curious to hear Huff's thoughts on this too.
Yeah.
Because he does curate our social media.
I mean, yeah, I have a few thoughts. For one, I just like off the top, it's like we're not a blog. Like I do like same thing. Like in hindsight, like it could have been a good opportunity to like be able to create a bridge between like the artist that you curated or like the Red Philly brand and being able to help out like Philadelphia, just like culture in general. But I feel like they're going back to the gym thing is like there's not some like the gym doesn't come to you and force you out of bed to come into the gym. So it's like I don't like to like put that. I don't like to take that responsibility on for us to feel like it's like there's so much going on that we are looking for stuff, but it's not my number one job to be trying to like force people to like create connection for one. For two,
you're about pushing.
I'm about pushing
Philly, not necessarily pushing other people.
My job is to run the brand. And
Right Philly, right.
Yeah, it was like I'm like running our brand, and yes, our brand, because we're a place for creators, involves Philadelphia creators and just creators in general. But also on the back end, like what we're doing is we're trying to, and this was a few months ago.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, which was a crazy
which
time
is like
for us.
we're about to.
I don't want to like make excuse, but like we were opening the space, right?
Yeah.
So it's like I was buried. I wasn't looking at nothing.
Yeah, I mean, my number one mission was to figure out how to take everything we're doing about the space, about where we are, and like push that through our brand. So it really is like a combination of a few things, but I just like, and that's something that I personally battle with is like how do you, because then you start to like second guess, and I never like to second guess myself, but it's like how do you battle being a platform that is empowering people and supporting people, but like there's so many people that like you never want to second guess like, oh, I'm showing this person too much love and picking favorites and all that, when it really comes down to like your identity.
And I'm gonna just end this kind of conversation with this, and I'm gonna say this right here. Like we were in a space where it was so much more important for us to just perfect our model and get people to understand that it was hard for us to be able to spend energy doing things, especially outside of our membership, right? Mm-hmm. But right now, one of the things that I've really settled into as a leader is like, I gotta just make it plain. Like, in my opinion, we've now become undisputed as a staple in our community, and now I do think it's our responsibility to shine light on the people who are moving the right way. So for me, I look at it as missed opportunity, because moving forward, that's your project is the perfect example of what we want to show other people and say, yo, this is how we should be moving, right? So moving forward, I think it's on us to be able to do that, and some of the moves you'll see us make in the near future are going to solidify that, because I think now we get to take up space, and honestly, I think we get to control the narrative of what it means to be a Philly creative, right? And that comes by putting the right people in the consciousness of our city now that we have a certain level of attention.
Yeah, and I appreciate that acknowledgement again, because it's not even about the my album. Cause I feel like in regards to how people, like you said, how if someone's moving properly, whatever. Because it's not about like. I feel like if someone that's like you said, moving properly, doing certain things, doing something organic, respectful, quality shit, it should be acknowledged regardless. That's why I bring people on here regardless if they have 1 follower or 10,000 followers, whatever. No, I feel like I want to acknowledge that you're doing something dope, whatever, and other people should hear about it, know about it, and therefore you should probably work. And I like to do group episodes because like you don't know who this person might be on the couch, whatever. Y'all can network now and hear their story, and then the next episode you don't know what they might do. It's a constant flow of people that should be acknowledged for what they're doing, whatever. And I feel if more people move like that, it won't necessarily be when people say like, oh, that pop, oh, now we on or whatever. No, but like if just because it popped now doesn't mean it wasn't fire or quality or noteworthy before the masses acknowledged it or whatever. Like so, yeah.
Nipsey been hot.
Been hot.
You feel me?
Facts.
hot.
Yeah.
Before Victory Lap, before
Way-
mailbox money, like
Right.
yeah, but even before Crenshaw,
Right.
so, and before he died, more importantly, whatever.
Right.
So like just because he died and everybody had, no, he was dead already.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah. So.
Quality and variety are two different things, man.
Do you guys battle with your ego?
Oh, all the time.
Absolutely.
All the time, yeah.
Absolutely.
And I'll say this, man. I mean, one of the, I don't know. There's the people that know me versus people who know of me. I think get two very different perceptions, right? And I think for me, I spent a lot of this last 12 months really doing a lot of the inner work, right? Really understanding why I do certain things, how I move, and come to grips with a lot of things from childhood and all this type of stuff. So for me, my ego battle was almost like, I would believe, the opposite of what people think when they say that. For me, I had to really start to understand and stand in my power and my positioning as a leader, right? I feel like I used to be a lot of the people-pleasing type of person, right? I want to make sure these guys are happy and then those people are happy. How are they feeling about this, right? But then I started to realize, like, nah. If I'm not really putting how I feel first, none of the rest of this shit is going to move the way it should. And I need to do that. And I think there's tons of conditioning, especially for us as black people in America, that make you want to think that the sacrifice is all what
So
we're
you didn't
supposed to
stand in
be.
your ego enough sometimes.
Right, yeah. So for me, I feel like I wasn't standing in it enough. And I had to get that in check. But there's also the opposite, right? Understanding that, I'm here to serve the people, not my ego, and make myself look good and this and that. But also you have to remember that sometimes you building your visibility and you building who you are and making sure you're out there, you know, I'll put it this way. I reminded myself that the fact that I exist is making lives better. And there's a right?
Talk heavy.
Right? And there was a place in time where I wouldn't say that.
Yeah.
I might feel it, but I wouldn't say that because I'm like, oh, well, people won't think I'm arrogant. But no, I gotta say that because I know what I'm doing, right?
Right.
And so that's what I think, that whole ego battle, man. That's where I'm at with it.
It's interesting. I think so. We're all in the building community business, right? You get to that in a certain way. You have most of us have a natural predilection of being more empathetic than normal, right?
Yep.
So if you're naturally more empathetic, I always say the dark side of empathy is anxiety. So because of that, it is very hard sometimes when you feel everything and you're very perceptive. It is very hard sometimes to become rooted in who you are and the impact that you're actually having. That's why a lot of our stories are very similar, right? We've all had to have these conversations with our pops that may or may not have been here, right? We've all geared to, we've all kind of went to the community route because we understand the healing power of the community and how we can actually activate each other. So it makes sense because I'm going through the same exact thing as you will, as far as like I had to step into my power. I was very much a people pleaser. Before 7th grade, I went to a different school every year, and I went to Lotus twice. So I always had to make new friends. My community never carried with me. So I always had to go in and navigate a new community.
Be likable, make people feel comfortable.
Right. And it was rough
all
for
that
me
stuff.
because I was this skinny African kid with a big head who said these big words and people ain't really fuck with me like that. Q fuck with me sometimes. but
I always like joking. Like, it's always been at me. Like,
right. We always used a bunch of jokes. But because of that, as a naturally empathetic person, you are a natural people pleaser, right? Especially if you're walking into new settings all the time. So as you get older and start taking on to these roles because of your natural predilection of trying to get community together, it requires a different side of you. And as a person that's self-aware, you realize that it requires a different side of you. So it's like, all right, what do I have to do differently now in order to even bolster my ego? But then at the same time, you got to mitigate it and temper it at the same time because you don't want it to go too much on the other side.
Right.
So for me, I found it in meditation. Like, I meditate every day. One, to mitigate anxiety because that shit is real and that shit is crippling and that shit is a paralytic. And two, to really focus and gain clarity on my next moves, where my vision is going, et cetera, because there's a lot of things, because people are people pleasers, you get calls all the time, right? You get calls that, I need you to do this, can you do this, et cetera. You really got to focus and hone in on what are you doing, what can you allocate your time to make the most impact,
Yep.
And who do you need to prioritize because of that? Not to say that everybody is invaluable, but being real to say that you have a little bit of time and energy. Yeah, you have a little bit of time and energy, and you love everybody. I love everybody, but I can't be everywhere. So that's one. And then two, but then we start getting a little bit of juice, right? We all got some juice in the city. You know what I'm saying? So
Simply,
you start simply Tropicana. You know what I'm saying? So because of that, then you start feeling yourself. Especially you walk down the street, be like, oh, I know you from that. You like, oh, you the girl, you know me. That's crazy. It's funny. I was at an event yesterday. The same thing happened. I was like, yeah, I gotta get out of here. But
I gotta tell my story. I gotta talk heavy real quick. Like on the day, real quick, King, real quick. I was somewhere, right? Talking, and I was even visible to where this person was at over here, and they was like, "Is that cute?" I was like, I could just tell by the voice. I was like, "Oh, smooth like you from the podcast." Oh, man. Like, the voice is iconic. Continue.
But exactly, so you mean we got Mr. Icon out here, we got Mr. Creative, we got creative fellas in the city, and I'm just me. But
you right.
But I made it. I'm just glad to be here for.
Hey.
But no. So you have to temper that as well, and remember that you serve the people, not your own ego, right? Because leadership comes from passion and opposition, right? You don't become a leader because you want the position. You become a leader because you have the vision, you have the passion. And you have to remember, I remind myself that all the time, especially when I start, busting up with these people who are millionaires and all this other stuff. And I know how much money I got in my pocket. I ain't got $1 million. But at the same time, it's just like you start to feel the power just by association.
Of course.
And you got to realize, what are you doing with this power? Why are you here? Who are you serving? What impact are you having? So it's hard, and it's a daily struggle. But the thing is, it's just like, we became these leaders, we became these peoples because we understand that who else gonna do it but us?
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Now you've been who?
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, and it's funny, like, you spoke on empathy. Recently, I've been trying to do a thing I've been telling people called privilege check-in. I feel like a lot of people should do whatever. You should, like me, as a man, I have to check my privileges when I hear women saying certain things, whatever. As a straight man, when I hear queer people saying certain things, whatever. Also, I personally don't deal with empathy issues because I recognize recently that a flaw of mine is I don't really have empathy for a lot of things, whatever. Like, it's like, I have sympathy, though. It's like, I understand when something is trtragic or sad, and I can, if you want to talk, we can talk about it, but I don't have, like, the natural mechanism where it's like, it just, like, I feel it, though. And it's like, when
I think you do. I honestly think you just probably perceive it differently, right? I'm not saying like you have to like feel it like boom, like if I stab him, you gotta feel it, right? No. And it doesn't have to be so visceral.
At the movies, I see that.
Right, exactly. right. I'm like, man, that's crazy. I'll be crying in the back like, I ain't crying, girl, just eye sweating. But I'll tell you why you have empathy, right? It's because you are creating a space in which people can come, like you even said, I don't care if you have one follower, I don't care, etc. Blah, blah, blah. I'm going to create a space in which you can get visibility and you can really talk about who you are and what value you bring to the table, right? That's empathy. You can't tell me that's not empathy, right? Because you understand that you've been in a place in which people weren't trying to give you visibility, and then you brought yourself up to clout, you know what I'm saying? So you want to create a space where other people can do that. Yes, it also helps you as well, because then you have, people coming in regularly. But that's the demonstration of empathy right there. So if you look at it differently, if you frame it in your mind, yeah, man, you an empathetic dude, bro.
All right, cool. All right, cool. Thanks, King.
Yeah, no problem, man.
No need to go to therapy.
Yeah.
How about this?
$250 an hour, bro.
Change lives.
Change lives. Conversation change lives.
That's a conversation that'll change your life right
Right.
there. Get you some therapy.
How about this? So again, nobody has to partake in any particular shade that comes as a result of this topic. But so recently, an artist that I know said it came across the table that Young Chris would do a feature with them. He wanted $3,000 for it, and I was like, "Fuck no," because I'm like, Young Chris in 2020, no shade at all, means nothing. Like, it's like I'm not like paying you $3,000 or whatever, but at the same time, I understand from both sides. You're Young Chris. No Better Love was amazing, and Can't Stop Won't Stop happened in 04. You was on House Party in 2010. It's like it's 2020. So when I'm just thinking like, what? I mean, he was like, yo, I would do the video and promote the song, this and that. I'm like, all right, cool. I respect the forthcomingness of being able to. I'm just not gonna do the song. I'm just gonna do the song and that's it. But I'm just like, even in that, like everybody has different engagements and interactions on even social media, or whatever. Like if Gilly isn't probably as prominent in music as Young Chris, but what Gilly posts, even for this podcast, what he posts on social media means more than what the average person does. So I'm like, wait, what does that even mean? You posting it? So the conversation, I was just like, it was just fascinating to me that someone like Young Chris in 2020, I won $3,000 for 16 bars, and it's like I can see you charging that in 2010 when you did a House Party. The fact that you still charging that is just like wild to me. Like, what makes you think you can't charge $500? Like,
did he know the artist at all?
No.
Yeah, then why?
No. So that's what I'm saying. I understand, but at the same time, it's interesting to me. So in general, if you were a rapper, in general, would you pay Young Chris $3,000?
I'm interested in hearing how it came about, right? Like, did someone go out and go to Young Chris?
Real quick, context.
Young Chris would be my first choice.
Real quick, I'm a rapper.
Yep.
This is my brother. 6 degrees separation, he knows Young Chris.
Yep.
So I dropped the project. He's like, oh, I think I'm going to try to see if Chris, whatever.
Yeah.
Tells somebody, he's like, yo, I think I'll do a song with $3,000.
Yeah.
That's a little loose context.
Got it. So I've met Young Chris a couple of times, right?
I hear he's a cool guy.
He's a cool dude. And I have a lot of respect for him and what he did and what he brought to the
For sure.
city. If I'm a rapper, it really just comes down to what are my goals and do I think that I can leverage more than $3,000 worth of value out of
from that
Young Chris.
Right.
And I think there's certain people that can absolutely do that.
Okay.
Because Young Chris does still have a platform. There's no matter how we're talking about it in like relevance terms, there are people who still respect that man and what he's done. And like for someone who's created hit records, right? To even
and he's still Young Chris, like
right,
he
to
built
stand,
that up.
To stand next to somebody, right, is value in itself if you can leverage it. So I think it all depends, right? If I got a buzz already and I'm hot, I don't think I would pay that right now, right? But if I'm up and coming and I've never actually had a record get more than 10,000 streams on SoundCloud, you better believe that's a good investment.
Right.
So it's all relative to me.
For me, it would really depend on like what my goals are. Like what like am I just fishing for a feature to like do I want Young Chris on my song just to be able to get eyes that Young Chris has? Like it really just
Which
matters.
I feel a lot of people do.
Yeah,
like,
and
it's not even about what you create.
And like me, I'm not an artist at all, but like me personally,
That's not true. But
I'm not a musician.
Rapper,
I'm
right?
not a rapper.
Right.
I'm not a rapper. But like my views on music is.
I know, because you just made me think of something back in Lotus. Shout out to Mathura Marcia. She wants to. I remember years ago. Shout out to elementary days. But I was like, yeah, I'm not creative because back then my idea of being creative was drawing.
Facts.
And I was like, I'm not creative. Like I'm not creative. Somebody she's like, yes, you are creative. I can tell just by your mind. Like you are naturally creative.
100%.
So I always
That's
play
important.
back
It's important to
yeah.
make those distinctions.
Yeah,
man.
definitely.
Creative could be, I mean, if you're creating things, if you're putting things into the universe that didn't exist before you are a creative.
Boom.
Right.
There you go.
And I always dial back to that conversation because back then I was like, I still didn't believe. I'm like, I can't draw because I always hated that I couldn't draw, couldn't like rap. Every nigga can rap, writing for Philly, it's not me.
Right.
So I always think about that, and it proved to be true. Like I definitely consider myself a creative.
Yeah, and I love to say it that way because, man, a lot of times artsy folks don't respect the creativity of the business world, but like some of these beautiful businesses are the most creative things ever. Uber is creative, right?
Facts.
Airbnb is creative, so it's like we have to just understand that.
I agree. I'm sorry, continue.
I think it's just like I like organic collaborations personally, and I think they last and live longer. Obviously, something quick can get you hot, but me personally, I just don't know. It would really just determine on like what my goals are and if I wanted what I was wanting that feature for.
And it's also how I look at, because I agree with the whole organic thing. Like the way I look at, and it kind of relates to the whole conversation change live chart for that shit. Like, again, I get it from both sides, but I feel like if whatever I am in 10 years, I foresee myself being like, I'd rather move off either I want to do it or I'm just not gonna do it. So if I'm Young Chris, let's say per se, and someone comes saying, "Yo, yeah, this project happened," I'm gonna be like, okay, let me hear it. Let me possibly meet the guy, and then whatever comes from that, and then maybe cause I feel that can also skew or change the perception of why I might even charge you whatever or price you whatever. Right, so it's like to just leave. I have issue when people just not issue. I think it's just I'm off put about when people just leave with a price with it. Cause like if you either want it or you don't, it's either worth your time or it's not worth your time, whatever. And like the money's like that's why I think
people do that. Sometimes that's strategy too, right? Because like if
negotiate.
Yeah, 100%. If someone hits you up, again, you don't know them at all.
Right.
It's helpful sometimes to give them ballpark, right? You got to just state your worth. And, like, this is the thing I started doing, too. When I work with someone or if I do consultations, there's been times, often, I give people free consultations. I give people free services. But I started now, I always tell them at least what it's worth. So it's very clear, like, what you're getting. So you know that if I'm helping you out, I'm just helping you out.
Right.
Because sometimes if you start doing that without actually telling people, yo, by the way, people pay X amount of dollars for this, they can't put it together. They can't understand the help that's being given.
When I did my live event, I forgot what you charged me back then, but I remember you threw in it was like a certain amount of time. You said you got the rest of the night. Yeah. I gave you credit for that, so.
Right. Yeah, I mean, one, that's a way to make sure that people really appreciate the value. Kind of what we were saying before. But if we go back to the Young Chris thing, I'm clearly not a rapper. I ain't got no bars. I used to dance back in the day though. I was
turn up.
pop lock b-boy. I was little Black History fact. What I will say is though, never underestimate the power of nostalgia.
That's
Oh,
real
for
too.
sure.
That's real too.
And I'll even give a prime example. My boys Nas and Jamie over at 6'8".
Shout out 6'8".
You know what I'm saying? They just did 2 events not too long ago. When they had old school hip hop and R&B artists come through, so they do the reminisce every month or whatever. And then they had Bow Wow at TLA. You know what I'm saying?
And they had Mario.
And then they had Mario for New Year's,
Eve.
and they shut it down. You know what I'm saying? And it's literally just for let me just remember.
Yeah.
How I was feeling back in that time. So if that's a part of your goal, if you recognize that and you understand that people will come out, Philly people will come out to hear Young Chris, then that is valid.
If the record feels like 04,
Yeah,
right? You know what I'm
easy.
saying? And your market might happen to be like, yo, I got some mid-30s, market. I can tell you, if I was a rapper, I'd know how to make $3K of that off of Young Chris
Easy.
being
Easy.
person.
Petey Crack, my man just ran into Petey Crack not too long ago. What?
Petey had to wave.
I was about to say,
Petey had to wave.
bro.
Yo, don't sleep on Young Guns.
No
Anyway.
Better Love is a classic. Like that's an iconic song. Like you gotta give him forever for
I
that
can make
one.
$3 grand off $3. You don't play with me.
Yeah,
Let's
Don't play with me, bro. I'll
Listen.
make it hot. Bro.
Joey Jihad, Young Hot, where they
Everybody.
at, man?
Young Hot.
Shout out to Hattie. Shout out to Hattie. Real quick, before we got out of here, 27 Club. A lot of people after Juice WRLD died continued the same old song of like, yo man, the music, the drugs, killing the youth, da 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 da. And I thought it was interesting because niggas been dying like forever,
Yeah.
and like niggas didn't just start doing drugs like in 2013 when Future popped off or whatever.
Yeah.
Like 27 Club come from the fucking 70s and 60s when niggas was dying from heroin. That's all pills are now, whatever.
Right.
So again, I think it's a complex, nuanced conversation, whatever. Whereas like, of course, music is impressionable, influential. But at the same time, I can't just blame Future. I feel that.
Of course not.
So it's like because of Mask Off.
Yeah,
So
see,
like, what do
people
y'all
want to
thoughts?
individualize like.
I feel a way about this.
Okay.
You think Future does a lot of the drugs he talks about?
No.
So there's my problem.
And he said it too.
Right, there's my problem. I think if you're an artist and you live a certain lifestyle and your art reflects life, say what you want to say because that's your truth. But I think when you don't live that way, if I'm out here promoting Molly, Percocets, Xanax, but low-key I'm a straight-edge vegan, I have a problem with selling poisonous messaging to people that you know are impressionable. I do have a huge problem with that. And as someone who, is looked at as a leader in the culture, right? And whether or not he embraces that or not, it's a whole different conversation. But as someone who is looked at as a leader in the culture, I would like to believe that you have a responsibility to either one, try to push push us forward, or two, at least speak your truth. So if you're not doing either of those two, I think there is a big problem with that. Because when I think about some of the great artists, back in the day. Were they talking about LSD? Yes. Were they talking about smoking and doing all these different recreational drugs? Yes. But I would like to believe that they was actually doing those things and living that life.
Is there any difference when rappers forever have been talking about crimes they then stop doing?
Well, you mind if I hop in? So, you got to remember the commercialized industry has always been profiting off of the death and destruction of black people, right? Because the narrative behind that is so cool and so scary, and so it gets your blood boiling, right? So in order to get skin in the game, you need to promote those messages. You gotta, follow suit. Allegedly, right? Of course, we have so many amazing artists. You got the Talibs, you got the Yasin Beys, you got the Commons, you got the
Chance the Rappers,
the Tierra Wax, the J. Cole's, blah, blah, blah. However, we individualize them because they are the exception, right? But then you got everybody else who's pretty much talking about the same thing. So one, you also got to look at the broader context. Like, I hate when there's a structure, and the structure profits off this. Black people trying to get paid, which I understand. So they acquiesce to the structure, but then they individualize, like, it's that black person's fault.
Right.
No, it's not. But at the same time, there's a certain culpability and responsibility that person has, even though it's not necessarily their fault that the structure is like this, because they're promoting those messages as well, right? So one, like Will said, you got to take some sort of accountability. Like, all right, listen, if you're not being real, if you don't do this, you either got to say, I don't do this. This is for the check, or I'm not gonna say you need to start doing this, but live your truth. Right, exactly. You wanna be real, like we paying money because we think you real. Like, I love Jesus because Jesus was really selling drugs. So like, and I was like, I believe that man, right?
Not when the album dropped.
Right. You said what?
Not when the album dropped.
But he said he can always go back because he was making the same show money.
Jesus was never going back.
He ain't going back. I know he ain't going back. He ain't going back now. Definitely not now. But it was an authentic story. People like authentic.
Sure.
Right. Exactly. So the thing is like where the structure is there. People profit off the structure. There's a culpability, but the blame needs to be placed on the structure just as much as it's on the artist as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because if you're just blaming the artist, then it's literally just scapegoating black people in another way, in which you don't. It's a catch-22. You don't let them tell great stories, authentic stories, and make that much money. Because Drake don't do half the shit he talk about. Drake be crying all the time.
Here we go.
But
don't bring Drake.
But that's what I'm saying. So it's just like blame the structure and also blame the artist, but also blame the structure. And let's create a structure in which we can create our own record labels and right, in which we push our positive, authentic stories. And even if they're not all positive, just authentic stories.
That's the part.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, go ahead.
I'll say I also think it's hard. Me personally, it's hard for me to critique that when I'm not in that situation. And what I'm saying is, like, let's say I'm not super invested in it, but like, let's say Future as the example did partake in some of these drugs or had people around him that were partaking in some of these drugs, and made the song that got him hot or made the song that was able to change his life. It's like, me personally, or whoever is critiquing the situation, like, how can you speak on that if you were in that spot where something just changed your life and you can see the trajectory to, like, pull back on your success? And, like, I understand that art, you should be authentic with your art, but, like, if it was authentic to you and it changed your life and you do have a plan, or you can see how it can change people around you, how can you critique him for doing that if you've never been in that position? It's just how I feel about art in general.
I respect that, but I think, like, we're talking about someone who's released dozens of projects, right? So I think we've given him enough time to grow and mature if he chose to. You know what I'm saying? Like, Hove don't talk about selling bricks anymore, but back then he did.
Right.
But then he grew and his character progressed and matured. So I would like to believe that Future's at a place financially, and again, I can't speak on this, and that's the part that I do agree with you on. I don't know what his bank account looks like, but the perception, and I would like to believe that he has enough money that if he wanted to go independent and then have more control creatively over the music outside the power structure, he could still make a living. Right. And then it just comes, is it greed versus is it responsibility and leadership?
But then I look at it as like, And again, if you want to see change, you gotta be the change. I understand that ultimately, but it's like Hove is always an anomaly. Like it's like most people don't. From I see, niggas don't be changing. It's like they like rappers do like
That's funny.
like most they still at least touch on the same shit. It's
Did
like
Kanye change?
For the worse.
He's changed.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm just saying,
yeah.
people change.
No, for sure. But I feel generally rappers don't necessarily grow. They still talk about the same
I
shit.
think
No,
I
not
think if you don't
necessarily.
grow with your success, you're doing it wrong.
Right.
I mean, yeah, I could agree.
You know what I'm saying?
Look-
So, and I would like to keep. I want to hold people
should
high
evolve,
and say that
yeah.
we can all evolve and shit.
Yeah, for sure.
And they try to match the paradigm of what's going on just to get hot. And then once they get hot, they start being more authentic. Look at Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne, back in Hot Boy days, etc., blah, 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 was talking about all that crazy stuff. And then he made like a rock album. Like
Underrated.
Right.
On the hill.
So one, people do change that way. But I want to say that
Wayne W still talking about the same shit. Though. He's still telling me
he does. Yeah, but he also got blonde dreads now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but at the same time, what I'm trying to say
If
is
we're gonna talk about change, let's just say Gucci. I think Gucci is the best.
Gucci's example.
Right? His lifestyle. Right? And
Oh, I'm sorry.
Gucci
Yeah, I was
as a
also talking about
person.
the content more so as well, not even like them as a person.
Oh, okay, got it.
But even how they express their art is kind of different as well.
I don't listen to Gucci.
But what I want to say is it depends on really what you value. Again, right? It's like if you value the money, you get this money, you value being comfortable, cool. Like then you're not going to change. If you have an epiphany and just be like, all right, now I'm in a position of power, now I actually want to do something with this, then you're going to change. But it's hard, and especially when the message is like, get this money, get this money, get this money, it's hard for you to make that type of change and sacrifice the money. If that's the type of person, if that's why you came in the game in the first place, right? So it's a value thing.
How do y'all feel y'all would deal? Well, one, 'cause I had men on here that say, like, you know what, in regards to the whole Me Too thing, whatever, they say, you know what, I had to take accountability for something I dealt with in my past. Not saying I raped someone, but I dealt with a woman that was, like, not in the best way in some regards, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Can y'all feel y'all had that same realization by now, whatever?
Yeah, straight up.
Yeah. Okay.
Straight up. I had it recently.
I had to, well, I mean, I always gotta check my privilege in that case, right? Specifically, you gotta be just aware. You gotta be real aware.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I was having a conversation about Nate Parker recently, and they like, oh, remember Nate Parker, whatever, this and that, and I was like, yeah. And I feel that. So I had a conversation even before that where it's like they feel Nate Parker's situation really went left because he didn't address, kind of similar to Kevin Hart, they didn't address their controversy properly, and it was both sides. He's like, no, but like, so you should have certain like a tact and
Straight up.
when you're dealing with a serious situation, whatever. But then another person's like, no, but if I know I didn't do something, I didn't do the shit, so fuck that, whatever. And I was like, I can see both sides of it. Like, I can imagine feeling like I'm being attacked and accused of shit that I'm already clear for. I know I didn't do. Fuck y'all, I didn't do whatever. So what are y'all thoughts on how you think you would generally react or deal with something like that when it was like a outing of you or something like that?
Well, look
Oh,
what
so
happened.
but we're talking specifically about public.
I'm not
Okay.
familiar with the Nate Parker thing. But is this
A woman said that she raped him. A woman said he raped her, and another person raped her in college. And he said that was consensual. They beat the case, whatever. And then she ended up killing herself a few years later, whatever. So then he's making a movie years later
Birth of the Nation.
about Nat
Birth of the
Turner.
Nation.
Yeah, he directed it, funded all the shit, whatever. That
Great
came
film.
out. It funded it, and then because of that story, whole thing just got chalked and washed and got canceled by black people mostly.
Look what happened to Freddie.
And he was very like outspoken, like, not saying fuck her, she should be dead, but he was like, I didn't do this shit.
Yeah.
People obviously he didn't deal with it gently enough.
Well, look what happened with Freddie Gibbs, right? Same thing happened. He was thrown in prison in Germany for allegedly raping a woman. He beat the case, but he was caught in a German prison for months. And I remember he was talking about the books that, like, he really broke down when he was just like, I wanted some books, and the books came and they were all in German. He was like, I am not supposed to be here, right? And then, but he came back with an album, and it's actually one of my favorite albums. You Only Live Twice.
Fire!
Oh, that album was so tough. Like,
I heard the off title alone.
oh yeah. Especially listen to Crushed Glass.
Fire!
That song
Yeah.
is because he's really like. I'll literally play it for you tonight. Like,
And to his point, he was very unapologetic about what he went through.
Unapologetic.
His innocence.
Because he knew he was innocent, right? And he knew he was getting taken away from his family. He knew all this other stuff because, he was so concretizing his truth. So if you know you're innocent and if you concretizing your truth, I have no problem with you being, you know, brash and straightforward, etc. with that. Now if you did it, that's different.
Who would know?
But exactly. But at the same time, like, speak your truth. Authenticity stuff is real. Like, you know what I'm saying? Don't be disrespectful. But you know.
But if you fucked up, honesty always wins. I believe.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Just put it out there, own it, and then, you know, give everyone involved the choice to decide how they deal with you after. You know what I'm saying? So.
Right. And also one other thing before we got here. Who do you think is more problematic to black people, Umar Johnson or Candace Owens?
Jesus Christ.
Oh. To me, I think it's easy. I think that's Candace.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Candace is way worse for the culture. I think Dr. Umar has flaws in his, you know, thought process, right? But I do think it's coming from a good place. I do believe that he cares deeply about black people. I do think he's very forthright in his strategies. Some are great, right? I do think he has some.
I be thinking I be tripping because every time I see him speak, I'm like, all right, this nigga clearly he's off. He has flaws, issues, and certain ideologies. But y'all trying to like y'all don't see no value in what this man is saying.
You know what? You went to Lotus.
Shout out to Lotus. African American school. They were in the 8th.
Yeah, it was a bad African
Goofy.
school. Like,
that's what he's doing. He thought in school, like, yeah, some of it is great, and then other things, you know, I think there's flaws. But all in all, net positive in my mind.
I agree.
Yeah, I had a conversation, and I was like, let's say both of them snapped their fingers on some Thanos shit, and
Hilarious.
black people turned into what their image of black people is. And I was like, I believe Umar shit would be better off for us. And they was like, they feel they kind of equal. And I said, no.
Absolutely not.
And to their
Absolutely
point,
not.
though, they were
Candace
speaking
tripping.
more.
Really wild.
They were speaking like they feel Umar's like, you know, he's homophobic, he's kind of sexist. And I said, all those things could be very true. I hear you. But they equal? Like Donald and Hillary equal? Like that argument? Like
that's crazy. You brought that
people
up.
still say it, you know.
Where,
It would have been just as bad.
I think we all gotta agree. Candace is terrible.
Candace is definitely worse. Absolutely.
And I'm not even gonna say that there's not room for conservative African Americans.
For
But
sure.
I do think there's room. But I think the way she does it, and then just the small amount of things that I've seen her do, I was just like, yo. What are we doing here?
Yeah.
Dead ass.
Right. And then,
Do you know black people?
She was dead.
and I'm also gonna.
She's very dead ass.
I'm also gonna check my privilege here because I'm not queer and I'm not, you know, I'm not a woman as well. But Candace also says all that shit too. Like, so like not only do you not like black people, but you also. So it's just like, you know what I'm saying? Because like I can see how some people would be like, well, you're not, you know, listen to, you know, the queer perspective and the, you know, the female perspective as well, and just, you know, Dr. Umar Johnson should be chastised for that, absolutely. But Candace is just trash.
Yeah, she's drunk.
Yeah.
In all levels.
Yeah. Y'all ever sniff panties?
Yes.
Yes.
Not on some like, you know, okay, this is a crazy that no, that's weird to me. But,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
we can't act like never in my fucking 20.
So it didn't like turn you on.
Nah.
Some people they really that aroma.
Some girl might have left some
Yeah,
straws on
you
the
just
pillow.
can't-
I
you just
rolled
can't-
over.
Yeah.
I huffed real quick.
Right.
I'm like, all right,
you gotta leave it at that.
I mean, I know what jacuzzi smell like. You know?
Yeah, I was talking to some girl. Said, yeah, this guy I was talking to, he just loves smelling my panties. It was like, it
Oh,
turned
he
him
does
on.
on a regular thing. Oh, nah.
I don't know nothing about that.
All right, sorry. No. So, in general, did you guys enjoy yourself today?
Bruh.
I did, yes.
This is great.
Yeah, this is a good conversation.
Great conversation. Good. Three-peat.
Three-peat.
Yeah,
we out
three-peat,
here.
sure, yeah,
I'm excited to go
interactors.
back to the other two Jones, man.
For sure. Yeah. So, drop your mentions.
Instagram handle.
Yeah, handles. There we go. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Anything you want to promote, all that good stuff. You know where to find you at.
So you can find me personally at Senzwa, SENZWA. That's my Instagram handle. My company, Elevate Career, ELIVADE Career, CAREER. All one word. On Instagram, you can sign up for Elevate at ELIVADE.com. Yeah, feel free to connect with me. Like I'm always keen to meet new dope people.
Elevate.
Yeah, I'm the fake Tim Huff on everything. You can find me that way. Reach out. I love talking to people. Also,
Some
show
days.
some. Actually, that's not true.
You
I'm not even gonna lie. I'm not even gonna lie. I like talking to some people.
Actually,
sometimes.
erase this. Don't
Right.
find me at all.
You will exit that out, right?
If you want to follow something, go follow Rec Philly.
There
Just,
we
like,
go.
Right.
check that out and come to the space. And let's just
Address
like-
again?
At Rec Philly.
No, I mean address for the place.
Oh, Ninth Market. Bro.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Old
901,
gallery.
901 Market Street. We're on the second floor in the fashion district, aka the gallery. And follow Rec Philly. My personal, if you want to, stay tuned to my story, my journey. It's at the Will Toms, THE Will TOMS. And just to quick shine some light on some things that are coming up. I'm really excited about this book that we're
Right, I did see you talk about that, yes.
Yeah, man, I wrote a book over these last 18 months, and essentially it's just all about this understanding of how we go from idea and passion to profitable business, right? And the only reason I'm excited to talk about that is because I've seen what it's like, and I've done that, and I'm excited to just share some of these principles about how other people can adopt these concepts and do it too. So that's called Uncommon Sense, right? It's about all of the things that we should know but don't. Your strategy guide to creative independence. So if you're an artist, look out for that. I always wanted people to.
You selling it or is it free? You got the nerve to sell it? What?
Yeah, so I'm gonna sell it. Right?
Conversations change
Nah,
lives.
members,
know your worth.
Nah, real talk. Members will be able to have access to it, in certain ways for free. But to the grand public, yeah, we're gonna sell that. You know what I'm saying? And it's important, right? We work hard to learn these things, and I gotta value myself to go ahead and do that.
Step in the ego.
Gotta do
I
that.
respect it. Yeah, so
And here's why. Someone said this, and I'll never forget it. They said, when you pay attention. So sometimes you got to be able to feel that, right, and make that investment just so you I can't let this go to waste. I put some bread down, right? I really believe in that wholeheartedly. So
it's a fact. So shout out to y'all. Again, subscribe and share RightonQuelive, all one word, any platform. Again, we dropped the album also. We are live anywhere you can stream music. RightonQuelive, talk about it. We out.